Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Before we start this review, I'd like to thank both my team sponsors as well as my personal sponsor, State Bicycle Co., for helping me with this Black Label 6160 All-Road that you'll see in this video. With that, let's move into this review. Before we get to the breakdown of the parts here, I do want to apologize for the darkness of the video here. While we're looking at the parts as well as the mess that my workbench is. This was the night before the first race here in Ohio. I had just come back from vacation and was scrambling to get this bike built. It showed up about 20 minutes before I left for Florida for a week. So, as you can imagine, this was quite the panic build while still trying to shoot some content. So, hope you guys enjoy, and let's kick this off.
Hello and welcome everyone to my review of the L-Twoo GRT gravel group set. So, first off, this box here, incredibly professional, looks great. It even has this magnetic clasp, which is pretty awesome. I have already opened this before to take a look at this in advance of the video, but this is what you get. Essentially the only thing that'd be different if you were opening this box would be that the shifters, the derailleurs, and the brakes would all be in plastic wrap. So, taking out the left shifter first, obviously no shifters as this is a 1x-gruppo set, just a brake. Incredibly ergonomic, also far and away the smallest hydro hoods for mechanical shifting that I have ever seen. These are way smaller than Shimano, they're smaller than SRAM's electric hydro hoods. Same thing, same hood shape on the shifter side, but just with shifters. So paddle for easier gears, thumb shifter for harder gears. Obviously, as I said, it's a mechanical group set, so we have a cable here. Move on to the brakes. Two brakes. Front brake here, shorter hydro hose. Rear brake over here with the longer hydraulic hose. Both look incredibly well made. Cool finned rotors there. It'll be interesting to see how those perform tomorrow. Yeah, just look like quality. A little baggie with all of the adapters for those brakes and bolts for them. And last but not least, the rear derailleur. So this is the thing I'm actually really most excited about. We have a mechanical clutch, prevent chain slap. Again, just looks incredibly well made. The graphics are great. Definitely different than any of the other big manufacturers with the dark gray on gold. I don't think it's too overpowering, and it's carried well through the group set. For example, this bolt here is anodized gold, the lettering on the cage, which is carbon on both sides, both the front, well, the back and the front. So yeah, just really impressed, excited to get this on the bike.
Alright, so here's the finished build. As I mentioned earlier, this is a State Black Label 6160 all-road frame. It's got clearance for some pretty big tires in there. In this picture I'm running 47mm Vittorio Terreno dries. They measure closer to 50mm or almost 2 inches. It's 700C setup. It's capable of clearing 45s. Probably a little bit more than that as well. On top of that, current setup is wolf tooth 48 tooth chainring on 170mm SRAM carbon cranks with an 1146 cassette in the back. It's just a 12-speed cassette I picked up off of AliExpress just to get this build going. Rotor does offer an 1146 cassette that has a little bit better gear steps, I think, that as I get more familiar with this bike I might pick up. Other than that, the bike has 130mm negative 17 degree zip stem on it, 38mm Bontrager bars, and then an FSA 25mm setback seat post, and then the saddle is a Prologo Dimension NAC. So as I mentioned earlier in this, I was building this bike for an event. That event was the Road Apple Roubaix. Road Apple Roubaix is a mixed surface ride out of Garrettsville, Ohio, about 40% gravel, about just under 50 miles. This picture here is from early on in the event. There's still probably close to 300 people in the group behind me, just trying to stay out of trouble. On the course, there are two defining features. One about 15 miles in, there's a short, sharp 1 minute long climb. And then about 38 miles into the race, there's a second climb. It starts out a little bit more gradual and then gets real steep again. This one's about 2 minutes long. The second picture here is for the results of the attacks that happened on the first and second hill. Just a group of 4 riders coming into the finish. Fortunately, our sprint for the air quotes win was interrupted by traffic. Not sure if I'd have got it done or not. I was in good position with about 75 meters to go as we came around the slight bend into the finish straight. But as I said, there was some traffic in the road. With this not being an official race, there not being any money on their line, I made the smart decision to sit up. So the bike performed flawlessly. Shifting was great. Brakes worked amazing. I was really impressed, both the modulation and the power. It had snowed and rained the night before this, so I was very nervous about taking an untested group set that really had not had very many reviews, and some of the reviews had said that the brakes were problems. So getting through this race without any problems really helped build confidence for me in this group set. As you can see here from the power data, this race was not easy at all. Time of doing this race, I was about 158 pounds. So, 290 watt normalized power for almost 2.5 hours is pretty spicy. Had a lot of fun out there. Legs felt good. The off season is going well. Really excited to get into doing some more road racing. All right, so enough about building the bike and the race that it was built for. Let's get into me actually riding this group set and reviewing how it shifts, how it brakes, the high points, the low points. At this point, I'm just starting on my ride. I started at our shop sponsor, Gear Up Velo, headed down to the Ohio Erie tote path. Just rolling down the hill here, running through the gears, taking it pretty much all the way through the cassette. You can see I'm shifting down with a thumb shifter. Nice audible clicks both from the shifter and then nice clunks from the rear derailleur as it shifts into gear. Take it pretty much all the way up to escape velocity here and come on down the hill. As we coast down here, the bike's currently set up with 47mm Vittoria Torino dries. So they're pretty slow, big chunky tire, a lot of fun to roll on. Here you can see coming through that corner, going through some easier gears. Fast forward again, coming down this hill into a strong left-hand corner onto the tow path. Hear the brakes. They were a little squealy. This was really the second time I'd ever ridden the bike. Been pretty wet during that race, so to burn off a little bit of stuff off the brakes. Again, it was pretty nice having the multi-shift function, something that I don't have on any of my other bikes with Di2. So being able to shift 3 gears all at once coming into that stop is really nice. Back up the cassette again, nice audible clicks. Fast forward until I get to the actual dirt part of the towpath here. Again, same thing coming into this stop, being able to just dump gears down the cassette with the press of a finger. It's really easy. Again, nice audible clicks. The tactile feels really good. You can definitely tell how many gears you're shifting when you're doing a multi-shift like that, which makes it really easy. The last mechanical group set I'd ridden before this was Shimano Ultegra 6700. You really couldn't do that. You had no idea how many gears you were shifting when you went to shift more than one. So it was a really nice thing to feel. So here, just gotten stuck behind some traffic, and I'm headed up to some mountain bike trails. When I'm reviewing a bike like this, or just testing it out, or the group set for that matter, I really like to ride things that maybe the bike or the group set weren't envisioned to do. So both the bike here, as I mentioned earlier, it's a state black label 6160 all-road, as well as this group set. Certainly not a mountain bike or a mountain bike group set. So these trails are certainly going to be tough on both pieces of equipment. So we turn off the path here, get into the trails. It's a pretty beginner trail here. There's no big obstacles, just some flowy sections. as we come up some of these hills, making quite a few multi-shifts up the cassette to easier gears. As I come over the crest, dumping gears down. As I come through this section here, you're going to see as I come up this hill here, coming up the cassette, I make a pretty demanding multi-shift right there, coming up 2 gears all the way to the easiest sprocket under pretty significant load. And again, the group set shifting flawlessly this whole time. Doesn't get lost when you try and make multi-shifts. I've seen that in the past where a group set will get kind of confused if you make 2 shifts at once or 3 shifts at once. It'll get stuck in between gears. I don't ever see that with this one. That being said, I'm also not running any special cable housings or anything like that. I just reuse the cable housings that came with the state bike. So you could probably do even better than what I have on here if you bought some fancy compressionless housings. Moving on to the bike a little bit more. Bike handles really great off-road. I'm coming from riding a lot of crits, doing a lot of road racing. I've got some pretty sharp handling bikes. This is a pretty big departure from that. It is a lot slower, a lot more stable, but that works really well off-road. I mean, you can see there I'm going over some pretty technical stuff that I certainly wish I at least had front suspension for. And the bike isn't twitchy, it's not doing anything crazy. Coming here into a pretty technical little rock garden and descent, hard on the brakes. You can also see that it's pretty muddy out here, and with not the greatest tires for muddy conditions, I still didn't have any problems with brake modulation, which is really nice. The brakes honestly are phenomenal. They're every bit as good as the Dura-Ace 9100 brakes that I had on my tarmac, and maybe just a hair underneath the new Ultegra 8100 brakes that I have on my state undefeated road bike. The new generation of Shimano hydraulics are just truly incredible. Some more technical stuff here. Again, the bike handles really, really well. And one of the other things with the rear derailleur, through all this technical stuff, what you don't hear is any chain slap anywhere. The clutch works incredibly well. During that race, I'd hit quite a few potholes, being in the bunch on gravel. I had no chain slap. The chainstay is still completely clean. I don't have any wrap on it. They're going down another little technical descent. That one, you can definitely get out of control if you just let the bike roll with no suspension. I'm not going to claim to be the best bike handler in the world. So having good modulation and being able to not slip the tires coming down that and slide out, but while still being able to scrub speed is very important. Through this little section here, a little bit more flowy, again, just going up and down through the gears. Nice positive clicks and chunks every time I make a shift. Not missing a beat on any of this. You can see coming up to this little embankment here, shifting back up the cassette. No problems. And same thing back down, right up. You're going to see here again me making a multi-shift in a really bad situation. I didn't know what was coming here, got myself into a bad situation, had to bail out up the cassette, and it just made the shift right up to the easiest sprocket, even under load. So, quality shifting. Flowing through this trail some more. Just more good shifts. I never had any problems. No chain slap over these big roots that I'm jumping over. The bike has awesome ground clearance, which is nice. I don't have to worry about hitting my chain ring, especially with running a big chain ring for a gravel bike, 48 tooth. I didn't have any problems with that. Again, coming into that technical root feature there, hard on the brakes, no problems. Nothing really to add here for the review, but every time you go to the mountain bike trails and they've got single track, you got to roll it. Definitely always get some weird looks from the guys on dirt jumpers and BMX bikes at the pump track whenever I ride it on my gravel bike or my road bikes. Doesn't really matter either way. I just enjoy doing it. It's a ton of fun. Every once in a while I do go to Rays with my friends, rent a dirt jumper for an afternoon and mess around. But again, I don't claim to be the best mountain biker or pump track rider out there. It's just something that anybody can do with any bike, and it's just fun to roll around, even at low speed. So back onto the towpath here, again getting stuck behind some traffic. Gonna dump a bunch of gears, come up over this overpass. Again, no problems, 3 gears down. And then, you can't really see my Wahoo here, but I'm doing close to 500 watts and just, again, shifting up the cassette, no problem. Just super easy shifts. It never misses, doesn't skip. If you hit the shift and you hear the click, it's going to find the gear. Over the top here, slide down the cassette, same thing. I think in this instance I went down 1 gear at a time. Yeah, no problems. So this here is a fun little piece of road that I actually discovered on this ride. This is the first time I'd ever ridden some of these places with this wide of a tire on a bike. As I said, I'm on 47 mil Victoria Terreno dries. So I never explored some of this stuff. I didn't really know what I was getting into coming up this. This is an old abandoned road here in Ohio, coming out of the Cuyahoga National Park Valley. Just cool to explore all these places that I wasn't able to go before just because I didn't have the tire. Here's another abandoned road. It's a bit of a funny ending on the end of this one. But, I didn't have any fenders on the bike, so I didn't want to go flying through the water. I also have no idea what's under there. There probably hasn't been anybody on a bike down this abandoned road in quite some time. So if I do crash down here, probably wouldn't end well for me, especially if I got hurt. So again, clicking through the gears as I'm going through the water. At this point the bike's pretty muddy. Wish it had taken an after shot, but still no problems with shifting. Everything's functioning great. Always nice to see. Again, no idea what's in these puddles, how deep they are. So making sure I get slowed down all the way up into granny gear, sliding all over the place through the mud. Some more big rocks. Again, the clutch works extremely well. I had no chain slap at any point in time during this ride. This is where things started to get a little bit above my comfort zone skill level. Probably should have taken the middle here, but got stuck in this rut. Unfortunately, there's a lot of rocks in the bottom of this, and I was able to power through it here. But you'll see in a moment, this deteriorates pretty quickly. So, as I said, it's a lot of fun, having a bike that can take this big tire. It's a ton of fun to explore new places, find little places that maybe other people haven't been. So I decided to try and keep riding this rut here, and as you can probably tell, the front tire decided it was stuck. The bike actually stuck in position. I was just sitting there for a second, completely balanced because it was so stuck. You can see almost all the way up to the rotor there. So, also unfortunately, as I am a bit of a roadie, and when I do ride gravel, most of the time I'm racing to win, so being able to unclip and walk isn't something I care about, so I am riding road shoes at this point. So as I'm stopped here, I am trying to wash off my cleats in this stream before I get going again. So the last little bit of this video, we're going to see here in a second, is back up top to where I started this ride. I met up with Brian from Gear Up Velo, or Wookie as he's affectionately known. If you guys are interested in the previous video on the channel here, Brian and I ride a local crit. I do the full breakdown on the race, all the tactics, all the moves. Always fun to race with Brian. He's been doing it a long time. Cross, crits, road races, mountain bikes, you name it, he does it. He also owns the shop right off of the towpath. So we're riding around in this parking lot doing a little bit of scouting for a new crit that's going to happen this summer. He grabbed a shop e-bike and we're just tooling around, but again, just another opportunity at this point. Bike had gotten stuck in a giant puddle of mud. I'd ridden mountain bike trails, towpath that's basically crushed limestone. It's real nasty, gets everywhere. It's still just shifting perfectly, the brakes, no problems. just out here having a great time. I mean, the group set just works. Really quite impressive. Really, the only negatives that I can come up with is the fact that it could be possibly hard to source parts should something break. There's no instruction manual if you don't know what you're doing. This is certainly not the group set for you, but I imagine most of the people that are searching out this video know how to install a group set and are looking for something that's an alternative to Shimano. And the adapters for the flat mount brakes, it'd be nice for them to just be the standard Shimano adapters, but I really can't complain. So yeah, all in all, solid group set. As I said, I'm rolling around here, scouting out a crit course, and they got a giant pile of bricks and one of the highest speed points of where we're looking to put the course. So, always entertaining. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and subscribe to see some more. Thanks.